With the stock firmware, we're happily mining at exactly 1 terahash and pulling 612 watts from the wall. What we're going to do here is attempt to let's see what the pool says. So our work is the KS1 and the pool is also considering 1 terahash of hash rate. There is community firmware for overclocking the KS series, excluding the KS0 Pro, which is a paid firmware. Now this is the old overclock, the initial ones that we've seen, and it's available for the KS1, but I'm actually going to attempt, and I just found out a new overclock that literally came out 2 days ago for all these models. So this is the update we're going to apply, and it gives you more flexibility in clock. You can play with the clocks, you can play with the frequencies, and it has a bunch of goodies. So let's try to live dangerously and upload that firmware. So this miner has now stabilized at 5 minute. The hash rate is at 1 terahash. Fans have gone down to 3000 RPMs, which I like. Temperatures are intake 24, exhaust 36. Really good temperatures. 56 the chip temperature. I think these are really good base settings. So now what we're going to do is we're going to attempt the overclock. So let's do 15% overclock, which I think is 130 megahertz, and then we're gonna do 47 millivolts, which is a 10% increase in voltage. Let's save this and see what happens. We're gonna have to wait a little bit because this does not require a restart according to the author, but it takes the miner a couple of minutes to apply these settings, and they are applied at certain steps. So one thing we can do is just basically watch here what happens. So they're being applied now. It seems 510 millivolts, 900 megahertz. There's no fail-safe. Fans are still going down. Temperatures have slightly increased, but that's probably due to the fan lowering speeds and reaching, a stable temperature. Intake and exhaust are still pretty good. So let's keep an eye on this and see if our 5 minute hash rate goes up. There's no real-time hash rate, it's 5 minutes, so we gotta wait for 5 minutes to see the new hash rate, and let's give it some time. There's some experimentation. Basically replicated what we have on this screenshot, which seems like a KS1 475 millivolts and 1200 clock. In this picture it shows 1454 and 37% is actually 137, not 145, which is exactly how much I got. So let's check it out. I have 37% increase, 325 and 30 millivolts, which is just 3% increase in voltage. And after waiting for quite some time, you can see the hash rate here stabilized at 1374, which is exactly 37% overstock. So this seems to be working quite well. Now this may go up. The recommendation on this page is that we're actually looking at averages well above 30%. So 24-hour average at this speed is gonna be way more telling. So the fan is at a reasonable speed, RPM, temperature not that bad. Power at the wall seems to be again 35% increase. It's at 900 watts now, which is reasonable. We got a almost 40% increase in hash rate, so not exactly double, but 600 to 900 is is quite good for the hash rate we're getting. Basically, we got almost two KS0 Pros or four KS0s just by overclocking here, which is why I ordered this miner, because for the price point it's at, and I got it for 1.7. It costs as much as 2.5 KS Pro 2s, but it produces way more, and I just by overclocking it I gained another 2 KS0 Pro, so I'm pretty happy with my choice. And if we look at the pool data, you can see this is my 2 KS Pros, and right now the pool is actually seeing this miner as 1.5 terahash, which is again more than the two miners KS0 Pros doing 425. Of course, on stock they're not overclocked yet, but this one is now exceeding both of them. So I can't complain. I think I gained $1,200 worth of hash rate just by overclocking it with 400 watt power increase. I think that's a pretty good deal. So quite happy, but I'll come here revisit when we have a 24-hour average and see how this hash rate is going up. So I bet you're wondering, well, how is the how is the PSU holding up? And I'm wondering that thing myself. So by the way, we briefly reached 1425, which is almost 50% overstock, and it get me thinking that we're almost achieving the KS2 speeds, and the KS2 is rated at 1200 watts. So the overclock's working great. Now in terms of PSU, I think the PSU in the KS1 and KS2 is the same. So assuming that's the case, which I'm pretty sure it is, the PSU is good for up to 2 kilowatts or 2000 watts. So there were cases where people blew their PSUs when overclocking the KS2. So going over 1500, this PSU is not great quality, but we're not even close to 1500. We're at below 1000 or about 1000, so we're at 50% of this PSU, and we should be safe. It's also quite cheap PSU, but it also looks like it's it could be replaced by a Bitmain PSU or any other compatible 12-volt server PSU. So what I'm trying to say is we shouldn't have a problem of overclocking this up to, I would say, 1200 watts, and right now we're at about below 11 or maybe even 10. So no need for a new PSU so far unless this one blows, but by the looks of it we should be fine.